Hi, hello, and welcome everybody. This will hopefully be one of many of my needs to ramble on about a certain topic because honestly, I just feel like I need to have an outlet of just letting my thoughts and feelings come out, you know, in a format that I can just give out into the world and see what happens. Right. Well, with that out of the way, hope you'll enjoy. And let's get on with it. Today, we are going to talk about Amazo. Now, not Amazo from the comic books, mind you. To be clear, I have never read any of the comic books. So, any of the DC fans out there that are going to comment that, oh, you need to learn all of that through the comics and stuff. Yeah, I know. Hey, nobody has all the time in the world for that. I have a lot of things I like to do, a lot of passions, well, hobbies and stuff. Life takes over. So right now, today, we're just going to discuss about the Amazo from the Justice League TV show series. And I'm sure many of you right now are going to think like back to the intro song, all awesome, amazing, presenting every member of the Justice League, etc., yada yada. But why do I feel that I need to talk about Amazo specifically? Well, I've rewatched it recently. Well, recently as in the last couple of months, the Justice League series again, Justice League Unlimited. And obviously you had Amazo, like 2 or 3 episodes. Not a lot. But he leaves an impact, right? Because, he's pretty broken, if you can call it like that. For those that are not initiated in the DC Universe lore or characters, basically Amazo is like an android, mechanical thing, made of nanotechnology, etc. And he was made by a guy called Professor Ivo. Now, in the TV series, Professor Ivo was not really shown. He's a bit dead when we first see him, just a body. He was found by Lex Luthor, which, if anybody has any bit of knowledge about the DC universe and who Lex Luthor is, he's not a really nice guy. No, he's smart. Well, I guess in a lot of ways he's probably can be called a genius. There's no doubts about that. But he's not a pretty nice man, if you know what I mean. So anyway, like our buddy Lex is like in a very bad situation. He needs help. He's dying, and he's like gonna find Professor Ivo. He finds him. Like I said, not alive, but he also finds Amazo, this nanotechnology android, which Amazo considered Ivo as his like father figure. And so for some reason Lex, being the smart ass that he is, convinces Amazo that, look, I'm a friend, I'm here to help you, I'm all good, I'm here to just, I need help as well, you need help, so let's help each other out. And Amazo having basically right now, currently at that point in time, the judgment and brain of a 3-year-old, basically. Doesn't know right from wrong, doesn't have any concepts of like good and evil, lies, machinations, schemes, etc. So he goes on with it. Goes on with Lex because, what else he's gonna do? Just sit there. So Lex was like, okay, I need some things to help myself out, not die. I was like, okay, what do you need? And keep in mind, Lex still will always have a grudge against the Justice League, Superman, etc. So he's like, well, I can use you and see what you can do, basically. So he sends him off to do some bad things, steal some shit. And at the end of the day, Amazo does end up fighting a couple of the Justice League, like Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, etc. The thing about Amazo that makes him pretty broken, you know, is the fact that he can basically just look at somebody and be like, oh, you have powers. Mine. So basically, because of how he's made, he's able to copy anything or anybody's like powers, traits, etc. and basically use them against them. So he managed to do like copy Hawkgirl, her mace, and her wings. He was able to copy Jon Stewart's green ring. He can be a Green Lantern now. He can be a speedster because he got the Flash. You get what I'm going at here. Yeah, pretty broken. Like, eventually he gets all four and be like, you know, kind of mopping the floor with everybody. But in the end, he still had to like go and help Luthor out. So he brought some stuff there. He didn't really intend to like defeat or beat up the Justice League. He was just trying to defend himself at that point because, again, doesn't know better. He's just trying to help Luthor out. After which, Luthor is like, well, why didn't you just get rid of him? And he's like, well, that's not what you told me to do. You just told me to get this thing. Luthor, well, in his own machinations, gets a bit upset. But manages to convince Amazo, hey, those guys are bad people. Justice League is bad people. You should probably get rid of them. Now, obviously, I'm not doing right now the way the episode goes on for word, but in essence, Amazo fights the Justice League again. But this time, well, Superman obviously gets involved as well. And he knows from the other members that, well, he's copying our superpowers, so you might want to not like, you know, you let yourself get copied. He's like, okay, he tries to fight him, tries to like make sure that he does not get copied, but eventually Amazo does copy Superman. He gets his powers, and you're like, well, what are you gonna do now? And then he tries to copy Batman. And he's looking at him like, you don't have any powers, it's just a regular schmuck, aren't you? He's like, you're not worth anything. But what Amazo doesn't know is that, yeah, Batman might not have any actual superpowers. He's not a meta-human. But he has one power that the other ones don't have. That's money. And I'm joking, obviously it's not just money, but he had I guess, you know, in his mind maybe, he had a gamble that, well, if you're copying everybody, like powers, traits and so, maybe you also copy their weakness. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try a bet. And he's basically standing there in front of this almost god, basically, at this point. And he's like, well, I bet you can't handle this. And it just brings out kryptonite. And he's like, okay, now we're talking. Now he's afraid of kryptonite because Superman is afraid of kryptonite. So, you know, you got an advantage now. The problem is, and I get back to Amazo and how he is, that he's broken, is that eventually he does manage to neutralize the weakness of kryptonite. And he basically doesn't care anymore, doesn't give a damn. He don't give a damn. So you're like, okay, what do you do now? Because you got Lex egging him on to be like, yeah, just get rid of them, just off them. They're done. And they're trying their best to like handle the situation, but it's a bit difficult, if you can imagine this. What happens next? Martian Manhunter comes in, Jean Jones, yeah? And what does Jean Jones' powers are in general? You know? Telepathy, like mind reading, messing up with your mind, that sort of stuff. So he thinks, you know what? Let him copy me. He'll get my powers. Yeah? He can read minds, etc. Now, Amazo, after he gets that, what does he do? Goes on and reads Luthor's minds, and is like, and keep in mind that you're copying other people's traits and stuff. So even though he starts off with the brain of a 3-year-old, he develops over in a very short amount of time, mind you, some concepts of like, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is like, you used me, blah blah blah. So he like reads Luthor's mind and like finds out his true intentions. So obviously he gets pissed, real pissed. And keep in mind, by this time Luthor managed to like find the solution and make himself not die anymore. The problem is, Amazo's like, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all of this in anger because you basically used me, and I'm just gonna make you feel like dying again. Hi, Editing Argus here. I forgot to mention during the section where I talk about Amazo copying J'onn J'onz's powers is that I also forgot to mention that he had regenerative powers, because Lex, smart cookie that he is, had a failsafe in plan in case Amazo turned on him, and that was basically a bomb at the base of his neck, which he did use, but a bit late because, you know, regeneration powers from Martian Manhunter. So yeah. And then he goes back to ripping off Lex's armor. But he doesn't end him. He doesn't like off him. Because Luthor pleads Amazo to not like kill him. And Amazo, because he's becoming kind of a character now, the personality, is like, yeah, I shouldn't. So what he decides is like, you know, I haven't learned anything. I don't have nothing else to learn from Earth. So he just looks up at the stars, goes all gold, and just gone. He's out. He's done. He's off into the universe, galaxy, gonna go learn all this sorts of stuff. And at the end of the episode, obviously there is a question asked, thinking, okay, where do you think he goes? And J'onn J'onz is like, goes to the place where basically only gods can go. Makes you think, like, he just, in a short amount of time, this entity, this creature, just becomes a god. Almost a god, almost like a god. So no, it goes in the galaxy where we both know that, like Marvel, this universe, etc., there's always something more powerful, something else that is like immense. Alright. Fast forward later, and we have the episode where Amazo returns. He's like being shown, he's coming back to Earth, he's on his way back. Why do you think he is back? Maybe he's going after Luthor. Maybe. You know, the man who fucked around with him. The man who messed around with him. And so, on his way back to Earth, he sees this planet, you know, small little planet, nothing insignificant, Oa. And for the DC people that know Oa, well, it's like the home base of the Green Lantern Corps, which John Stewart is a part of. And what does he do? Just goes through it. It's gone. It's no planet there. Done. Eventually, the Justice League and everybody find out about this. Amazo's coming. They try to prepare all these defensive lines, all these tactics, everybody that is available and part of the league at that point, because the league grew, to try and stop him. Shocker, that doesn't work. Nothing stops him. While that's happening, Lex also being formed, and because the Justice League is so not just nice guys, and that they really want to help this guy out, even though it's the guy, one of the guys that like doesn't really like them. He pretends to be a good guy now, but yeah, no, you never trust him. You don't actually trust him. And so they got the Atom to help him. Now the Atom, like, basically DC universe version of Ant-Man, genius scientists, etc. They work together to try and make a weapon against Amazos based on nanotechnology. That doesn't work either. So what did they do? Adam was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just shrink us to a level that he can't follow us to. Good idea. And Cobb said, like, just make yourself basically cannot be seen, cannot be found out. Problem is, Amazo will follow you everywhere right now. Yeah. And so we find out why Amazo is back on Earth to see Luthor. And you know why? Because he's acting like basically still a child, and he needs guidance, because he, even for all the knowledge and power in the galaxy that he can find and collect and muster and copy, he still doesn't know what to do with it. And to be fair to Luthor, he does have a pretty good answer to his question about, like, what's the meaning of life? Why should I even bother with anything? With this all-powerful, basically God. And he is like, well, you just keep going with life to see what happens next. We'll see, like, where life takes you, because majority of beings in the world, in the universe, don't actually know what's going to happen next. No matter what their decisions, what their choices are, they have no idea what's going to happen next, right? Just go, you just do it and see what happens. Like, there's no, you just make choices, because knowledge is useful, not wisdom is good to have. You still got to use it somehow. Everything is like that, is kind of a tool in your own mind, and combine that with free will, you make a choice, good or bad. You still make a choice, and you use what you know for a purpose. And that's how humanity works in general, probably, I think. And so, with that kind of answer, Amazo's like, okay, I'll think about it, actually. And then, to a degree, a person called Dr. Fate appears and whisks him away in his little magic castle kingdom, whatever you want to call it, to help him figure out what's his purpose, what can he do with this, all this power, all this knowledge, all this ability to, like, do anything, basically. Oh, and by the way, remember Oa, the Green Lantern Corps homeworld, base of operations? Yeah, about that. Apparently, he didn't destroy the planet, he didn't destroy it. He just moved it into another dimension, because, on quote by him, it was in his way. He didn't actually want to destroy it. He was just like, I'm just gonna move this planet here. So you get what I mean? Like, basically a god, a deity, does whatever he wants. But he's not malicious. He's not really, like, ill intent. It's just needs some help, needs some guidance, Admittedly, the guidance can be good or evil. Thankfully, Dr. Fate, most of the time, I think he's an okay dude. Well, yeah. And one last time we see Amazo, and this is the part where he actually gets fear. He feels fear, like, okay, this is a problem. I need to fix it. But he's like, I'm not of help here. Basically, at one point, for some reason, Solomon Grundy, a zombie, basically, gets resurrected, full of thing called chaos magic, and he's basically making havoc, destroying stuff. He needs to be, like, gotten rid of. And Amazo tries to help out there. The problem is, apparently, chaos magic in this universe is a thing that basically absorbs everything. Like, it's just a sponge, and it just takes in everything. And whatever Amazo did, Grundy just took it. And he's like, don't care. And he was like, oh no, I need to get out of here, because I'm putting y'all in danger, and I can't help with this. So he just basically beams away, light years away, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here and just think about it. Just gonna think about it, what happened there. And that's the last time we see of him. So yeah. As you can tell, again, broken godlike being, does whatever basically he wants if he wants, if he can. Thankfully, he's receiving guidance in some form of fashion, but also he could just move a planet and not care. So yeah, OP broken character was a good laugh and nice to have him for a couple of episodes in the TV show. And wish there was more of him. Wish there was more of Justice League, but what can you do, you know? Yeah. I think that'll be it for today. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a nice morning, midday, evening, night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next one. Wabam!